Comfort. Noun. A state of physical ease and freedom from pain and constraint.
Welcome back to 8-Bits and Dice Rolls. This is the Warm and Fuzzies.
Oh.
My name is Redamus Maximus.
This is Jay Lovecraft.
I'm your Star Queen.
And I'm the Mad Doctor.
And we are here this week to bring you some fun topics about things that make us feel good, things that bring fun, happy feelings to us personally, physically, mentally. And just going forward, too, I just want to make sure that everybody knows this is not like a nostalgia necessarily episode. When we say what brings you warm and fuzzies, doesn't mean that it has to be straight out of memory lane. We're literally going to talk about everything that we like. It can be anything from new to old, but we just want to reiterate the difference between nostalgia and then things that make us feel good. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and start with Star Queen this week.
So my first thing, that is a very big warm fuzzy for I think everyone at this table, and probably for a lot of people too, is the premiere of The Mandalorian, watching it for the first time on Disney Plus, and the collective that the nation and probably the world let out when they saw Baby Yoda for the first time.
Oh yeah, that was such a huge thing.
You didn't know what it was, and that episode was really violent in retrospect too. That was probably I'd say that was more violent than episode 3 was, which is the highest rated in terms of the ESRB anyway for Star Wars. So when I saw that and the little hand that comes out and those big eyes and those big ears, you're just like, oh, and then the final shot of seeing his finger come out and then just a little hand reaching up to me, I'm just like, oh, that's so cute.
Well, I remember that being such a big deal too, because that was the first time we even saw Yoda's race outside of the original movies, and technically I guess episode 8 at the point.
You know, technically nobody actually knows what Yoda's race is.
No, we don't even have a name for it.
Well, and that's the way that George wanted it. He wanted his race to be in secret, so it's so rare.
There is actually one other time we see another species outside of or within the movies itself, and that's Yaddle, when they're on the Grand Council. Yeah,
they had Yodel, Yaddle, Yoda, and there was one other one too, and I can't remember. It was another Y name, obviously, but... Yeah.
Which is weird also because they all had Y names, but Baby Yoda we now know as Grogu.
Grogu, yeah.
And that's the only time that this species hasn't had a Y in its name.
Which season 2 also had a lot more warm fuzzies, but that was because of the relationship between Din, actually kind of becoming a dad as well.
Oh yeah, Mando dad.
Oh yeah, and then even in season 1, there were moments of, he'd tell him to stay on the ship, stay there, don't move, and then it would cut and you just see Din, geared and armored up, and then Baby Yoda is just standing next to him, and he's just
yeah.
As someone with a toddler,
yeah.
I know that dad side.
Yeah, how accurate is that?
So, from a father perspective, many times I told my son, I said, "All right, don't go in there," and I'll turn around and get something, and turn around, he's just staying there I did it anyways, and you're just like,
well. Well, and it's so funny too because interacting with your child, I have seen multiple times that he literally has that Grogu look on his face, especially while he's eating too.
Yeah, he's got that look, and then you go, okay, I'm going to put you down, but don't go anywhere. Gives you that evil Grogu look, and then just scurries off, and he's like, come get me.
Scurries off, probably shits himself, and it's okay,
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, does anyone change Grogu? I mean... when you think about it,
I would imagine that Din probably didn't want to do that. So if you notice, he always dumps Grogu off on other people.
Yeah.
They probably got stuck with the leftovers, if you know what I mean.
I still think some of the best parts of that whole show is just between Din and Grogu, with those scenes of them together on the Razor Crest. For example, where the connects the blue wire to the red port or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, that was hilarious.
Yeah, and then I actually did see some amazing fan art after that where it was him going to Ahsoka and her telling Din that Grogu had a name and his name, and then Din kind of turns to her and he says, wait, he's been able to understand me this whole time? And she's like, well, yes, of course. He's like, wait, so does he know his colors?
Yeah, I forgot about that. I might have to go back and rewatch that episode.
To back up what you're saying, I think on a dad perspective, the warm and fuzzy moment for me is anytime that Grogu laughs.
Oh yeah,
Like when he's on the speeder bike with,
Oh, and his little hands
Yeah.
are in the air.
because I relates to me to my son laughing or to any baby laughing. When he's doing that and he throws his arms out and he does a laugh, I'm like, I'm home and content.
Which
Yeah.
that was amped up in season 2 when Din was like doing spirals and like loop-de-loops on the Razor Crest, and he was having an amazing time stuffing his face with biscuits, and then when Din like finally levels out, he throws up over himself.
yeah. Those macaroons,
Yes,
the blue
yeah.
macaroons,
Yeah.
That he stole off of that one kid.
which apparently there is a recipe for that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I will make sure if we get the chance, I'll get a copy of it and we can put it up on the Instagram.
To our listeners of 8 Bits and Dice Rolls, if you happen to have the recipe, please share.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Send it to us through our email, 8bitsdicerolls@gmail.com. And I've heard a couple people actually have had some issues trying to send it in. I just want to make sure I spell it correctly for you. It's the numeric 8, BITS, as in Sally, dice, DICEROLLS, @gmail.com.
You can also DM us on Instagram as well. That works too.
Yep, that is the thing. Our Instagram, just to let you know too, is 8bits_dice rolls. Since, we can't put ampersands in Instagram. We got to do everything as underscores, even though we score higher.
Like I said though, that was immediately when I was actually coming up with the idea for this episode, that was the moment that I was like, that's a warm fuzzy for everyone who's seen that. Even non-Star Wars fans. My mom isn't the biggest fan of Star Wars, but even showing her that, even she thought he was cute. So
Yeah, Grogu's gorgeous. Doc, why don't you give us some warm feelings?
So for me personally, my big warm feeling is when we were kids, and this is going to go back a little bit to nostalgia, Saturday morning cartoons.
Oh, God, I love cartoons. I love cartoons now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I still do it today. Getting up in the morning and knowing you didn't have school that day, so you didn't have to deal with the bullshit at school. You didn't have to deal with bullies or teachers or
Yep.
homework. You get up, you go to the kitchen. If you were like me, my mom was already waiting. I already had a bowl, my favorite cereal out ready.
Yep, had to
And
have the cereal.
It was the only time you were allowed to eat anywhere else but the kitchen table. Walk in, sat down, turn that TV on, and hear Pokemon or Digimon or Yu-Gi-Oh or any
Super
of that.
Friends.
Super Friends.
Super Friends, yeah.
I was also a big Boomerang kid. Those
Oh,
always,
yeah,
in
all the
evening-
Hanna-Barberas and stuff. Yep.
Yep.
El
that for me-
Kabong.
yeah. Captain K.
Yep, yeah, that one too.
That was I'm getting goosebumps right now. That was a warm fuzzy for me.
by the time I was growing up, Saturday morning cartoons had already been away for quite a while. But we did have after school cartoons, and I think I was a little bit spoiled because I grew up in the Butch Hartman era of animation.
Yep.
So Fairly Odd Parents was like my favorite show. Danny Phantom.
I liked Danny Phantom too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those were all really good. I remember Saturday morning cartoons too. It was always the other thing of like when you got off school, you got to go home and watch old school Toonami.
Oh yeah.
That was a big deal. Starting with Sailor Moon, jumping over Dragon Ball Z because they had the American opener of dun 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 dun. Because you couldn't get that anywhere else. The Japanese one's cha-da, hey cha-da. Which that one's good too, don't get me wrong. But that's when we got to watch G.I. Joe, Sigma 6,
G.I.
and
Joe.
yeah, we get to watch those kind of fun things.
And then later on One Piece and stuff like
Yeah,
that. come
One
out.
Piece, Rave Master, there's all kinds.
So one of my other warm fuzzies was Saturday. It was also kind of like Adult Swim in the evening.
Yep.
Before I went to bed, Rurouni Kenshin
Oh yeah.
was my fuzzy feel good. Like after I watched Kenshin kick the ass of some samurai that thought he was some tough shit, and then I got to go to bed after that, drifted off like a baby.
Yeah. But Tosai just taking on everybody.
Yeah.
Lovecraft hit us with some buttery goodness.
Yes. What gives me warm fuzzies? The night. You ever been outside just in the night? I don't care if it's 11 p.m. to 3 o'clock in the morning, and it doesn't matter. It's nice and cool out. It's the fall.
Oh God.
You're nicely dressed. You're going to a nice restaurant, you're going to a nice bar, you're going to a club, anywhere, and you look up and you see a full moon,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and you go out into the midst of the world and you feel this energy crackle from the city and you feel city life, but yet you feel the friendliness of other people just being around you. And sometimes when you walk into a club or to a game store, or in my case, I go in to play Vampire, I get this warm feeling of camaraderie and a sense of belonging to a family, a group. That's what I live for. But sometimes, really late at night, you can feel the crisp air hit your face,
Oh, yeah.
and then you feel the goosebumps, and then you look up and you see this beautiful, gorgeous full moon, and you can see the Sea of Tranquility, the Sea of Marianas, that is practically visible with all the clouds just circling around. And that was where I knew that everyone was one. And it doesn't matter anywhere in the world, you could feel it, you could sense it, you know it, and you feel that sixth sense going off in your head and saying, yeah, this is great. And sometimes during the cycle of the full moon, on a late, say, Saturday or Sunday evening, I go into audiobooks, especially The Call of Cthulhu by H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh, your own book?
Your namesake.
Yeah.
Oh, come now. You're making me blush. But anyway, I turn that on and I get this sense of, okay, I'm walking into the supernatural of someone else's imagination that draws me in. I open up my curtains, let the night come in, let the full moon radiate, and just let go and just begin to write something. Write an adventure, write a play, write a short story, write love poetry to your lover, or even just say, yeah, it's good to be alive.
Yeah.
I will say some of my best writing, I think, has been at night, or some of my weirdest writing, as I'd sent a story to Readamus a couple of days ago, and you were hyped to hear it, and you came to me and said, oh, what's it about? I'm like, it's about Transformers fighting sentient balloon people.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's new. I like that.
Somewhere in the world, there is somebody that says, this needs to be a movie. Let's make this.
It probably was a G1 episode I haven't watched yet, so...
Starscream is probably like yelling at a balloon somewhere. That's the big problem right there.
What are you doing with Cybertron?
This is my
balloon.
Megatron, you can't touch it. To back up what Lovecraft was saying, there's been many times when I worked as a security guard after I got out of the military later in the evening. You know, it was as most people call it, the witching hour.
The 3 a.m.
The 3 a.m. to dawn. There's just a stillness to the world
Oh, yeah.
that just irradiates. And you can't replace the feeling that you get of being alone in that moment and feeling like you're a part of the world instead of outside it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Simply because it's a constant reminder, now is all we have, and that's all we got. And the best way during that time, you just think to yourself, okay, what am I going to do with this world? I'm not going to let the world change me. I'm going to change it for the better.
That's right.
There's no hustle and bustle outside. There's nothing to get done. There's peace, there's thought, and there's writing.
I always did like driving at night as well. Not on like a country road, that always freaked me out. But like if you're like going down like a main highway or something at night and it's just you, there's like no one else, like it's always very calm, I've noticed. Especially if it's a place in the day where you know is like normally busy, but at night it's just dead quiet. I always did like driving at night too.
Yeah. Well, and to kind of go into that for my warm and feelings, it goes with the whole night theme. It goes with the sense of the world and all that stuff. What gets me every time is the sense of adventure. Now, this is a multiple piece idea, and this goes, I'll actually dive into, for instance, like D&D. You sit at a table, and the DM at the time is saying, oh, you have wandered into this forest, there's a campfire to your left, there's peace in the world, what do? Now, what makes that beautiful, go into LARP and do that same thing. You, by yourself, you don't even have the DM in your ear. You walk into a forest. You've got an actual roaring fire that's right next to you. Cozy as all can be. You hear the crackling of the wood and all that kind of stuff. You smell the smoke engulfing your nostrils, and you see other fellow LARPers and adventurers and all this other stuff. You gather by that fireplace. You cook meals together over that same fire or a different fire. You all share a sense of drink together. You sing together. And then the other piece of that too is you smell the smell of happiness. It's a funny concept to think about, but you can actually smell happiness.
Yeah.
For instance, when I do my RPGs and all that kind of stuff, I use sensory
Very much
things.
so.
Yeah, sensory things to kind of give off what you would expect if you were to, for instance, be in the forest. My comfort smell is the smell of spiced apples because it takes me back to a time when during LARP and during like Christmas, for instance, and things like that, it sparks these emotions. It just makes you smile because it's that longing for adventure and meeting people and doing things together. And then when you're sitting at that same fire during the night.
Simplicity is the genius of adventure.
Yeah. And it's so much fun. And I love it. I was just thinking about this the other day when we were talking about the episode, and I sprayed some apple Febreze. That's what kind of kicked off the thought process of like, holy shit, that actually is it.
You made a point to say your comfort smell.
Yeah.
Mine has always been clean linen.
Yeah.
Because it takes me back to my childhood. When we lived in Tennessee, my mom would actually dry the clothes. If our dryer was down or something, she'd dry them out on the line.
Mm-hmm.
There's a certain smell you get when they're air dried, and that clean linen smell.
Yeah.
It takes me back.
The linen, the natural nature smell.
Yep.
You know, the air doesn't smell toxified and all that other stuff. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, that's so. What are real quick just to ask, because I really want to know what is Lovecraft and Star Queen? What are your guys' comfort smell? When you smell it, you just go, yeah.
Mine is lavender. Straight off the bat, lavender.
Well, yeah, well, that's just comforting in a way, too.
Well, for me, it's double layered because my nan, when I was growing up, she had like lavender scented everything. Lavender scented car freshener, lavender candles, lavender like shampoo, everything. She didn't have lavender perfume, but that lavender smell was something that I came to associate. And because, you know, I loved her and she was, she always had me on the weekends, it was just something that I came to associate with her. And lavender also knocks me the fuck out as well. So
Yes, it is very potent.
Yes, it is.
The truth, the scent of a beautiful woman. There you go.
Yeah.
Now, here's the question. Natural or like a specific like perfume
Yeah.
or...
Are we talking like fresh out the shower?
Fresh out of the shower, you know, nothing that's overpowering.
So basically a pure clean smell.
Oh, yes.
The reason I asked that is because I wanted to, I need a good segue. So I told you guys what mine were before, but something, when you said the smell, a comfort smell, there was actually something that popped in my head that overtakes all comfort for me. The smell of a good book.
Oh, perfect.
Ooh,
hell yeah.
so I have to ask this question now too. New book smell, old book smell, or gloss paper smell?
Yes.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
The reason why is, and this kind of goes with your lavender thing. My stepdad at the time, his dad, had an entire room, wall to ceiling, full of first edition books. Everything from Plato, to Niccolò Machiavelli, to
Niccolò Machiavelli.
Yep. The Prince, and then all the way over to Huck Finn and Pride and Prejudice. They were all first edition books, but they were also old.
Yeah, so you had that old leather and glue smell.
Yes, and every time I'd crack one open to read it, it was weird because my stepdad would laugh at me. I'd go, and then open the book. It was almost like I was getting my brain ready. But yes, the smell of a book, a good book, whether it's old, new, any of that.
Yeah, natural intoxication.
Exactly.
Yeah, for me, it's always the new books.
I will take that smell over drugs, alcohol any day.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, and it's a natural smell because it's basically all natural things that make it. I mean, obviously, you know, we get glue from horses, but again, well, that's still natural. That's still natural. That counts.
With a few extra compounds, but it's natural.
Yeah.
Well, we even have there's actually a room we have at my work where the books that we keep there are like markedly older than like some of the other books elsewhere. That smell is definitely its strongest there, for sure. It also helps that the room is enclosed as well, so it's in kind of like a separate area. So as soon as you go in there, you're hit with that smell.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I think if I went in there, I'd be like, yeah, you need a SWAT team to get me out of here.
For me, it's always Barnes & Noble is my temple.
Barnes & Noble always smells really good.
That's a wonderful smell. That's the smell of coffee, the smell of just all
New
kinds of
smell.
books.
Okay, so you all are about to hate me for this.
No.
I've never been into a Barnes & Noble, ever.
Are
Well,
you serious?
Well, I know what we're doing after this episode.
Let's go over there because they're actually having
They got a shit ton sale
Well-
too.
well,
Go
yeah.
to Barnes and Nobles, please give us money, Barnes and Nobles, please.
But yes, I have honestly never been into the bookstores I went to back in Tennessee, back home, were your older mom pa shop.
Oh yeah,
books.
those are still lovely
those are the
too.
best
Yeah,
too.
Those
never-
were the best.
So I got spoiled real fast on being able to go in and be like, hey, I need a first edition Latin translation of Hamlet.
Yeah.
Give us 2-3 weeks. We'll have it. That third week or second week hit, whatever they said, they'd be calling me and they'd have it. And it was just gorgeous. And again, they laughed at me too, because the first thing I'd do is I'd pick it up and I'd smell it.
Yeah.
There are also, because I get sent advanced readers' copies of books for my job, whenever I get one of those in the mail, they always come in one of those, like, those cardboard mailers, you know, the ones that, like, seal airtight. So whenever I open one of those, crack it open, oh, it's like that smell, but, like, canned. It's so good.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Yeah.
Barnes & Noble, if you are listening, ladies and gentlemen, please.
If there's any, like, book people or anything like listening to this, please sponsor us. We read so much. I actually average my reading, and I average about a 300 to 500 page book every 10 to 13 days. So,
Well, I'm a sucker for Audible because I love
oh yeah,
audiobooks.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love hearing the sounds and everything. It just gets you in that mood,
Yes.
especially a good Star Wars book.
What and to go with both of you, Rita Miss and Star Queen, I love the spectrum we have here. We have the more audio with your audiobooks, the noise, the sound, and then you have the imagination on this end with Star Queen. I kind of really like watching YouTube videos where they tell a story.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for instance, Mr. Ballin is one of my favorites. He tells scary stories, but he'll sit there in front of the camera and just tell you the story with like little pictures and stuff.
That's fun. I can appreciate that for sure.
Or even this, if you have time, dear gentle readers, or to this my wonderful friends here, Beethoven's third movement of Moonlight Sonata.
Oh, you don't even have to.
Yeah.
You don't even
Right
have to
there.
tell me. Yeah, I hear it, and because I'm such an audiophile, I love that song. There actually, I think it was last week, I was listening at it at work because I come in earlier than everybody else,
Yes.
and I will turn on like Chopin or Beethoven, and just it gets me calm and collected, and gets me into the job. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think music is actually a big warm fuzzy thing for everyone here at this table, because now that I think about it, I mean, Redemus, one of the things that he got me for Christmas, mostly because he hated looking at the old ones,
Yeah.
but because I'm wearing my headphones all the time. If you just come up to me, like on average, like 9 times out of 10, I'm wearing my headphones. And I'm always listening to some kind of music. I need like some sort of music to get me in the mood, or I just like listening to music. And I don't know if at some point when it became a warm fuzzy, but I just really appreciate music, I guess. Not all genres are my thing, granted, but I don't really think of any one genre and say, oh, that's terrible, it's so backwards. Oh, it's just, I don't know. I guess there's always been a comfort thing about music because I can just zone out and just kind of get lost in it. So,
Well, and that's the beauty of music in general. And we actually do have a episode for next season called That One Sound.
hopefully, it's on the docket. I'll say
it is
that
on, it is on the
much.
docket.
Yes.
It's on the docket.
I think if you guys are also a music or audiophiles or anything like that, or just you enjoy sounds, I think you're absolutely going to appreciate that episode because it will be absolutely powerful as far as description, what you get out of music and things like that. I'm really looking forward to shoot that episode.
To go along with the theme of music here, I think everybody at this table will agree. Christmas music.
Oh.
Okay, I'm going to be 100% honest with you.
Classic
Yes,
Christmas music.
classic 50s through like the 70s, Frank
I'm
Sinatra,
thinking
like
older.
like 20s.
older.
As in the height of the Anglican Church older.
Elizabethan era.
Oh, wow. So not green sleeves, but close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
with carolers and just to hear
The old style English church music.
Exactly.
absolutely.
Bad. I really don't like Christmas music, but now that I think about it, now you said that, it's more like modern Christmas music.
Yeah.
I think working in retail has kind of ruined it for me though, because I used to work in a clothing store, and from September through to February would be Christmas music. Oh my goodness. There was also one time where we had a Gorilla CD in and they took that out for the Christmas music. I was like, I'm finding another job.
There's only so much Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Oh, have you heard the Ariana Grande one?
No.
Don't.
I don't want to.
I've heard all of it because, yes, again, Christmas music, I turn on our local Christmas channel as soon as, like, it's actually our soft rock channel, which is hilarious.
That's
Yeah.
actually kind of
Yeah.
weird.
Ironic.
Yeah,
that's
they
very
go
ironic.
They literally for the whole entire month of, actually it starts like right after
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving until basically January, they play nothing but every type of Christmas song. Now, granted, some of them are no longer allowed because they are not exactly PC, but
But here's the issue. I remember back in the day when I attended an Anglican church. And the funny part was and is, you heard the magnificent Christmas carols, and you don't hear that.
no, you
Because
don't.
No.
there's nothing spiritual, there's nothing concerning human unity, nothing concerning the gospel or anything. Today
Yeah.
it's me, what you gonna give
Well,
me?
I will-
Consumer, yeah.
I will
Consume,
kinda-
consume.
I will counter that and say that there is one kind of Christmas music I enjoy, and that is counter Christmas music, where it's stuff like ICP, for example, did a whole Christmas
Oh
album.
my God.
They did a whole Christmas album, and the whole thing was like, obviously they grew up in like the
The hood.
the redneck and areas and like the hood and all that. They didn't get presents.
Ding, 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 ding.
Fucking magnets, how do they work?
Yeah.
That's a literal lyric.
But obviously they were, in the poorer neighborhoods, and this also carries over to rap music and the fact that they didn't get presents. So a lot of it is very political as well, being like, and it's Christmas Day and you can hear guns in the streets. Oh, I think Johnny's being raided again, like stuff like that. It's like, it's super messed up stuff. But there is two Christmas songs that I like most of all, and I think just because of how hard they go, and that is "Holiday" by Lil Nas X, because of how heavy that beat is and how hard it goes.
That came out last year.
Yep. And Lil Jon featuring the Kool-Aid Man, All I Want for Christmas, which has no right being as hard and as good as it is.
Well, to be fair, what was it? DMX came out with that hard Christmas about Rudolph Lorando. Yeah, that shit like that. No, I'm sure it is. But yeah, and we've got a whole episode dedicated to Christmas as well, too, just to kind of keep moving things along. So again, to go with the sense of adventure, I think you had something you wanted to say about movies in general.
Yes. Walking into a movie theater or being with your mom or your wife or your girlfriend or boy or whatever, your best friends, I mean, whatever the case may be, walking into a movie theater, that smell of buttery, fresh popcorn
Oh,
hitting
yeah.
your face.
God, I love it.
And then you know the movie you're going to go see, whether it's bad or good, preferably good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But bad or good, you're with somebody, it hits all your senses: sight, smell, taste.
Yep.
The taste of, I'm sorry.
The fresh Coca-Cola.
Yes. I'm
Yep.
sorry. I have drinking Coke out of a bottle before many times, but nothing beats coming to hear that.
Yeah, nothing hits harder than that fountain Coke.
There is also certain movies as well that if you can go and see them on opening night, like when you do, like for example, I went and I was lucky enough to get Avengers Endgame tickets on opening night, and it honestly feels so weird now, like watching the Steve Rogers pick up Mjolnir for the first time and not hearing a crowd going crazy all around you.
Yes, I agree. That when that moment happened at the theater I was at, I was like, oh, that's cool. Look, I was like, oh my God.
Oh yeah, people were going nuts. Like that whole movie was great with an audience.
So I was working for Amazon at the time. I may have dipped out just to go see Avengers. It was the first one. We were like, fuck it. We got PTO. Why not?
Sir, I am proud of you.
Yes.
Well, yeah. First
Bravo,
off, Amazon is that's a whole nother
A whole nother can of worms.
can of worms.
We'll
We'll
do an
go
episode
into
of
it.
Companies you don't want to work for.
Yeah, hilarious companies. Because we don't do anything negative here. We just put the word hilarious to kind of deviate from
Deviate the negativity.
Because again, we always have the high ground.
As I was saying though about having things with an audience, when I was in the UK, when the final Harry Potter movie came out, I don't know how they did it, but my youth group that I used to go with and hang out with my friends, we went and saw Deathly Hallows Part 2 on opening night as well. There was people dressed up. This was also the height of Harry Potter as well. And Harry Potter was like the UK Star Wars. That's how big it was.
Oh, yeah.
It was huge over there, to the point where for the final movie, when they wanted to shut down a whole street in central London at peak, like, rush hour time, the UK government said, go ahead. And then they actually used people from the crowd as extras for people watching, like, wanting them to film the movie. They paid businesses to stay open. Like, that's how big it was.
Well, I know I remember this, but maybe Doc and Lovecraft might have done this. Do you guys remember going to see The Lord of the Rings for the first time in the theaters?
Oh,
All
yes.
3 of them.
All 3 of them.
My mom ordered the ticket because I was a little younger at the time when these movies come out.
Yep.
I was in my teen years, and Fellowship of the Ring, I had read Tolkien. You got me started on Tolkien. I had read Tolkien my whole life growing up. The Silmarillion, all his autobiographies, the War of the Rings, or the Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
the Hobbits, all of it. Everything he wrote was just yummy.
I remember my introduction to Lord of the Rings, just to not break off too much. I was told that I had to read The Fellowship of the Ring as a younger kid before I got to go see the movie.
Oh, they pulled that on you?
Yeah, it was that was a common thing during my time. Is a lot of people, obviously, the whole stitch of, oh, the book is better than the movie. You gotta watch it. You gotta read the book.
That's
and
still a thing.
it's still a thing, yeah. But that was kind of like the thing in order for you to go see a movie. As a kid, you had to read the book, and that was a hard read.
Oh,
as
yeah.
like a
Long.
long
It's
read.
chunky.
Well, the funny part was back when I was before junior high school. Good Lord, The Hobbit was mandatory reading, and then began the Fellowship of the Ring, the Twin Towers, and the Return
Yep.
of the King. We read the whole thing, and this was at a Catholic school, mind you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and this was mandatory.
Well, The Hobbit was actually a kid's book. Tolkien specifically wrote that for his kids.
Yeah.
The Silmarillion is the most adult, which is also why, in my opinion, it's the chunkiest and the hardest to get through.
It's my favorite.
Yeah,
Mm.
I loved it. I remember that smell of popcorn and going with my dad to see the Two Towers and
So like you, Redamus, my mom made the same deal. She said, there are 3 movies, or there are 3 books, right? I said, yeah. And I told my mom at the time, Peter Jackson is filming all 3 movies at once.
Yeah.
On separate parts of New Zealand. And she goes, I'll tell you what, if you read the book, I'll take you to the movie, but you have to prove to me you read the book.
Yeah.
So when I would read the book, I'd read it in the living room while she was there, and she could watch me read the book. So she took me in to see the movie, and when you're a teenager at that time, you're not doing anything with your parents.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's not as cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Some of my greatest memories are with my mom going to see a movie. And just like your Lavender,
Yeah.
that's why walking into a theater hits hard for me, because my mom was diagnosed with neuropathy and stuff like that. So she can't get around much right now.
Right.
So we don't have that time to go to a movie theater.
Yeah.
So that's why that movie theater, going to see a movie, an adventure, as you were saying, Redamus, going to see a movie, my guilty pleasure when it comes out. There are 2 movies that are my guilty pleasure. You all will know one of them, which is Moulin Rouge, the greatest movie that ever existed, that Ewan McGregor, aka Obi-Wan Kenobi, ever did. Even I like it more than Star Wars on that one, and I'm sorry.
Oh God.
I love Moulin Rouge because
Well-
it's Ewan McGregor at his finest. It's at his rawest.
I'm not really one for musicals. I actually have a very long history of just hating musicals, but there is one scene in that fucking movie that I cannot deny is just perfect from every point of view. Technical, shot, cinematography,
Is it Roxanne?
fucking course it is.
Roxanne.
See, I told you, I knew what she was
It's
talking
Roxanne.
Yep.
Even people who hate that movie with a passion don't think it makes any sense. Roxanne Tango is absolutely perfect as a scene.
about. One of my favorite people, Doug Walker, or aka that guy with glasses, or Nostalgia Critic, he did a Moulin Rouge episode.
Yeah, I remember that.
Everybody on the show was like, yeah, we hate this movie or this movie. That one scene, all of them got together and went, that is fucking awesome.
That scene is way too good for that movie.
Yes. The second one is a Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh,
Those
wow.
are like 0 to 60 in
Yeah.
movie taste.
Yes.
I love it.
Did you know that Rocky Horror actually has a sequel?
Yes, but
Yeah.
no one acknowledges it.
Which is bad because that's actually a legitimately good musical. Shock Treatment, if you can find it, is actually a really good and worth a watch.
It is, but it's not Tim Curry. And it sounds horrible, and I know I sound really bad saying that, but when Dr. Frankenfruiter comes up that elevator and you just see this black afro poofy hair in the elevator, and all of a sudden, boom, it turns around and you're like, that is Tim Curry.
Oh, yeah.
And then he just starts
Iconic.
and then he just starts with
Sweet Transvestite.
Sweet Transvestite.
Yeah.
And he just whips that cape off and he's just in that outfit and you're like, God, I love this man.
Yeah.
FYI, Tim Curry's a national treasure. Do not let anything happen to that man.
He is. And it's actually really sad about his whole seizure
It
trip
is,
and all that because
yes.
it's removed everything from him, which really sucks. But, it's still great seeing him. He's still got a great attitude when he does, he is able to pop up at conventions and things like that.
He
Obviously
loves his fans.
he loves them.
He
Oh,
adores
yeah.
them.
He loves them. The man that literally went from transvestite to the devil to the most
legend. Yeah.
to the biggest nipples in a parody horror movie possible.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
And then also becoming a pipe organ with a mirror attached to it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast, the Christmas movie.
The Christmas movie,
Yeah.
yeah.
The guy's a natural.
Yes.
He does everything.
That, but no, just that smell of walking in, holding the hands of your girlfriend, or in my case, your mom, And yes, I've seen all three on opening day. There were people outside that were reciting the first movie from memory.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that when it happens and you feel a part of this community, that's even more warm and fuzzy because you're there. The theater's packed, filled to the brim of people who love Tolkien, who love Lord of the Rings. Now, mind you, Tolkien at that point, he was just a book. Peter Jackson set out to do the impossible. Not only did it, but then when he come out with The Hobbits, which are also another fuzzy feel-good movie for me. Just to see Frodo, when you said adventure, I pictured your head on Bilbo.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I'm going on an adventure.
Yeah.
And he's just running with the contract.
Yeah, I love that. I think Star Queen, you had another feel good too you want to talk about.
I do, and this is, I don't want to say it's cheesy, but I don't know.
Cheesy is good. Never turn down cheesy.
Cheesy is nerdy, and that's what we're all about.
Yes.
So last year, when Redemus and I were when I was first getting into Transformers, actually, Redemus insisted I play a game called Fall of Cybertron. And this is also the reason why Bruticus is in the corner right now, too.
Yeah. I'll include the picture of this on Instagram so you guys can check it out. It's actually my favorite version of Bruticus.
Our,
I second
our
that.
special guest star is Bruticus.
So he insisted that, I play the game, and we pretty much played through it together in like kind of the Game Grumps style of like one of us has the controller, one of the other person is like
The
watching,
commentator,
but commentating.
watching,
yeah, we had some fun moments, including me figuring out how to drive like 2 levels away from the end of the game.
Yep.
There was also accidentally getting the riot cannon in the first level and just completely demolishing everyone. But there was a segment when you're running through like an Autobot ship, and I think you're either Vortex or Onslaught. I don't remember.
I think you played both, if I remember
You do
correctly.
play both, but I don't remember which one at this point you were. But Starscream was like screaming over the radio to tell everyone to retreat, and Onslaught says, "Combaticons, combine into Bruticus." And then you all form together to become Bruticus, and you just start wrecking your way through the level. And we were like going nuts, and I was having so much fun. And honestly, I didn't think I was going to have as much fun in the Decepticon part of that game as I did. But I feel like that and playing Grimlock is probably the funnest parts of those games. I just remember sitting there with Redemus and just having a blast of a time. And then a couple months later, we went to a vintage toy store called D's Toys and Collectibles.
These vintage toys.
Yes. And we, lo and behold, as soon as we walked in there, we saw Fall of Cybertron Metroplex
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and
An original one.
the original one, and up on the ceiling, Fall of Cybertron Bruticus.
And which version specifically was that from? San Diego Comic-Con.
Yes.
2012.
I forgot about that. He is a Comic-Con exclusive.
Yep.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, Star Queen Redemus, you guys can back me up. I think the only way to get the Comic-Con ones are to actually go.
Yeah, you have to
Yeah,
actually go.
You have to go to Comic-Con, otherwise you're buying secondhand aftermarket prices.
Yep.
That
But she
might-
got a good deal on this one too, which was really
Oh
good.
yeah, how would it? Well, I bought him with like some other like figures as well, so I was
Yeah.
already dropping quite a bit of money. No, I saw him, I knew I had to get him because, and every time I walk past him where he normally sits in our office, I just get those happy memories of just us on the couch
Yeah.
during the worst year ever and just having a blast.
As the Game Grumps put it so succinctly, is the Backstreet Boys reunion tour, because you can't say COVID, but
No,
No.
but
As he
we
says it.
yeah, as I said it.
but no, we I get a lot of flack for liking that version of Bruticus as well, because that one is not very well liked by the community. A lot of people like other versions better. But I will always love Fall of Cybertron Bruticus, because whenever I see him, because he's one of like the first Transformers you actually see walking into our office as well.
Oh yeah, he's a stick out.
He's a stick out, and he's very prominent too. I always just get that warm and fuzzy feeling as well. And speaking of movies as well, I remember the first time when we watched Bumblebee together on your couch in your old apartment, and
To reiterate, Bumblebee, not the Bayverse Bumblebee. This is the good
Bumblebee
version.
movie.
The movie that we expect to see be done.
It was the movie we needed.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
The
it
movie
was.
we needed, but we didn't deserve. But we did deserve. Because,
We sat through the Bay crap.
yeah.
Yeah, but watching that, and it was kind of a rainy day, if I remember as well.
Yeah, it was a good. Speaking of
Yeah,
just
actually,
sensory
yeah.
stuff, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
it was
Watching a
during
movie
the
on a
night,
rainy day. Yeah.
rainy day. It was nighttime.
That's the perfect time.
The air was crisp. Actually, I think it was in the fall too, wasn't
It
it?
was, yeah.
So we had just had like, I don't want to say vegan chili, but basically vegan chili, and we were just like, she'd never seen it. I said, "Oh my god, here we go." So and we watched it, and I saw Soundwave, and
It is a very cute movie
When you
too.
seen Soundwave, were you like, did you just straight like gay from? Oh my god, yes.
well, that's what I did when I saw it in theaters, because I was like, "Oh my god, why did Michael Bay even
don't you like those?
exist? Why? Because this is exactly what I wanted."
Was it one of those? I can only get so erect.
Yeah, please, I can only be so erect.
Well, because I'd never seen G1 before either, which has kind of become a comfort show to me now, just because I don't know why so many fans treat it as like a Darren Aronofsky, this is the pinnacle of Transformers entertainment, when it's really not. But it's so charming, and it's kind of stupid, but it kind of leans into it, and you can tell, and it's become such a comfort show too.
Oh yeah,
So to go along with the video games thing you mentioned, I think even Lovecraft, back when you did play games, I remember on the way over to the studio we were talking about, games you did play and stuff like that, in the
Yeah.
arcade. I think the nowadays gamers, we all play multitude of games.
oh yeah. The
And-
library is huge.
Yeah,
Oh,
in
yeah.
fact, Redimus, me, you, Star Queen, we all play Battlefront 2 together.
Yes.
Yep.
And there are days where we just get wrecked.
Oh yeah.
Where we can't, whether
We
it's
can't touch them.
we can't
whether
even
it's
spawn.
whether it's HVV or Supremacy or Galactic Assault, any of that. So for me, after a bad day of gaming like that, I tend to go to a game that's called Ark.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it's one of my games that it's relaxing. I don't have to think too hard. I just go and it's fucking dinosaurs. Come
Yeah,
on.
dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I get to ride on my favorite dinosaur of all time, a Brontosaurus.
You know what also pisses me off about that? Nobody ever asked me what my favorite dinosaur is anymore, and that's real unfucking cash money of
Back-
everybody.
Right? So, okay. Hey, Redimus,
Yes,
what's your favorite dinosaur?
the old school Tyrannosaurus Rex.
We're talking the original bad boy, the bad boys.
Oh yeah, the bad boy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Redimus has a lot of stories about me hearing things, me shouting things at my computer whenever I'm playing Jurassic World Evolution as
Yeah.
well.
Sometimes I wonder if she's winning the argument against herself.
When you start to lose the argument, that's when you really need to get checked out.
Yeah. So far she hasn't lost yet, but
Hey, they say if you don't respond that you're not crazy, and I don't
This
respond
is
to myself,
true.
so...
Well, shit, I might be crazy then.
I was going to say I have constant conversations
Yeah.
with myself. Myself is like, "Yeah, why don't you do this?" No, you dumbass, don't touch that.
I'm now addressing to me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think one of the big things with the particular word comfort, you can find comfort in almost anything.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And I think nerdom as a whole has some of the best comforts in any fan base event. Star Wars, Doctor Who, Tolkien,
Star Trek.
Star
Transformers.
Trek has some of the best. Now to get on a topic that unfortunately Redimus and Star Queen can't talk much about, Mr.
Mhm.
Lovecraft.
Yeah.
My dear fellow Trekkie,
Yes.
Phase us up.
what is your
Beam me
most-
up, Scotty.
Yes. What is your favorite and most comforting episode of any Star Trek? It doesn't have to be original, any of them.
I remember an episode where the Enterprise, and this is from the original series, mind you, when Kirk and Spock was commanding the Enterprise at the time.
So this is the William Shatner.
Yes.
Yes.
It was.
And the great Leonard Nimoy. May
And-
he rest in peace.
And Bosk shows up for some reason.
No. Captain Kirk shoots him and then eats him for later for dinner.
I thought he hit him with a rock.
Well, the Gorn he did, yeah. But
Yeah, the Gorn, it didn't work. But
Okay.
anyway.
Oh, gotcha.
hit him with the rock, and the Gorn just goes, "Come at me, bro."
Yeah.
Also, George Takei just being George Takei.
Yeah.
I had this surge one time about exploration. What is the unknown is to be known. And one of the biggest thrills for me is the inspirational speeches from Captain James T. Kirk. And of course, one of his famous speeches was this: "Risk is our business. This is why we are on her."
What?
Can we just give a round of
All right,
applause
yeah,
for
that
that
was,
that William Shatner impersonation?
Thank you.
That was really good.
That was amazing, Jim. I didn't know you could do one so accurately.
Yes, I get enthusiastic over anything James T. Kirk.
See,
He was
that-
the model I wanted to be when I grew up, along with Spock. I wanted his brain.
You wanted the looks and suave of Captain Kirk, but you wanted the brain and knowledge of Spock.
Yes, pretty much.
My inspiration was Winnie the Pooh back in the day.
Oh, there is a meme that we need to put up on Instagram if we can of Redemus redubbing episode 3, the scene of Anakin fighting Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, the Christopher Robin movie came out at the same time.
Oh, wow.
I love
And
that movie.
obviously it's Ewan McGregor and what was it, Jim Cummings that does Winnie the Pooh.
Yep.
Right.
And I'll put it up there because you guys have to listen to it. But
It's
I'll
so
do my
great.
quick Pooh voiceover for
comes.
you.
General Kenobi, from my point of view, you are the heffalump. Hello there. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that's been 8 Bits and Dice Roll. I think we've peaked at that point.
We have
Yes,
absolutely
we have.
peaked at that point.
Thank you. So on the opposite spectrum of our dear Lovecraft over here, he was a Kirkian, as I like to call them.
Yes.
Dear sir, I was a Commander Siskoian. I loved Commander Sisko from Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, he read Kirk's handbook.
He did, actually. And he mentions it quite a few times. And that's one thing I love about the Trek universe is the connectivity. But Deep Space Nine, there's a particular episode in that, and forgive me, I can't remember the name of the episode. The Ferengi are my favorite species, and they're not very loving towards each other. Everything is money, 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 money.
Capitalism.
Exactly. America.
Yeah.
But Quark looks at Nog and just goes, Nog, and he hesitates for a second, and he goes, "You're a good boy." And I went, "Is he a damn dog?" And then I went,
Oh,
he
no,
just
that's actually huge.
complimented
Yeah.
it. Yeah. And then as I got to know Ferengi lore and Ferengi history more, I was like, oh my God, he complimented him without having to pay him. And that was a warm feeling for me. And then Armand Sherman, who plays Quark, was like, that wasn't even scripted. It was straight. That was just him
Aw.
trying to tell the actor that plays Nog he was great.
Aw.
Because it was a season later where the character Nog had disappeared because the actor playing him had some health issues.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, and I do love the Star Trek stuff because this is a lot of like education for me too. We will have another episode actually dedicated to Star Trek itself. So you guys look forward to that one. We actually are getting really close on time here. So I just wanted to go ahead and say thank you so much, everybody, for listening and continuing to listen to us, support us. Eventually, we will have a new logo out. We're working on that. We're going to have some merch here coming out soon because we've had some people ask about it. Again, if you have any type of episode or you want to talk about any of these things, what makes you feel good, let us know at our Gmail, 8bitsdicerolls@gmail.com, or DM us on Instagram, 8bits_dicerolls. And with that, the closing, I want to say that this has absolutely been a very comforting episode.
Right.
Especially
was
for
the
me,
hope.
that's the big thing. I love hearing absolutely everything from everybody. I know there's 1,000 more things we can go into it, and that's exactly why podcasts are so beautiful.
Yeah.
So we've all sat here and had fuzzy feelings. Next time, we're going to be going back to, and it is kind of a nostalgia episode, but Thanks to Natasha Bruce for reaching out to us on her Gmail. We want to make sure to touch on this episode. We're going to be talking about old school anime. 80s, 90s, 70s anime. It could be any type. We're going to be talking about all of them. We're going to give you a list of our different favorite episodes. And I think you guys are really going to love that one. If you're a big anime fan, if you're a weeaboo, if you're an otaku, come join us.
Waifu.
Yeah, shit. If one of you is a waifu, konnichiwa, bitches. But with that being said, thank you, everybody. And until next time, make sure to put that coin in the slot, hit the power button, roll for initiative, and we'll see you next week.